All right, for this video, this is the third one for 1.1. We're going to use a graphing calculator to graph the function and its parent function, excuse me, and then describe the transformations. So I'm going to take my graphing calculator, and this is why you'll want one of your own, one of the reasons. And I want to show you, you go to the y equals, and in that y equals on the top line, I'm going to just put my parent function. So this is an absolute value. So if you go to math, there's a button that says math, push it, and it comes up with a menu. If you scroll over to number, so you push the over arrow and it takes you from being under math right there over to that. Number 1 says ABS. That is absolute value. So mine puts the little bars there. Okay, yours might say ABS and then have parentheses, still the same thing, but the parent function just has an X inside of that. So you're going to type in X. And then for the second equation, you're going to type this one. So this says g of x, and remember that just means it's a function of x. So that's y equals, and the y equals is already there. We're going to put minus or negative. In this case, it has to be a negative. You can't use the minus symbol because it's not actually subtracting something from something else. So the negative symbol is down by the decimal there. Okay, and then go to math and put on that absolute value again. And this says x plus 5 minus, and then, oops, x plus 5, and then get out of your absolute value in the parentheses or outside of the bars, then minus 3. Now I want to show you, for putting in x's on a calculator, there's this button next to the green button, okay, and it has an X, a T, okay, it has like 4 things on it, okay. If you just push that button, it automatically puts an X. So you don't have to push alphabet and then find X on one of those little things in between the keys. That button just automatically puts an X where you're typing, okay? So you get the 2 equations on there like this, and then you click the graph button on this side of your calculator and you push graph, okay? And mine's in color, so hopefully you can see it, and it graphs both of them. Parent function is the one that goes through 0, 0 with the slope of 1. Okay, and you see what happened to the other one. So a couple of things happened in these transformations. To me, it looks like, well, it got reflected. Okay, so it has a reflection. So to answer this, I'm going to say, oh, it has a reflection. It's a reflection in the x-axis, okay? And then what happened? Well, it went, instead of being at 0, 0, looks to me like that point moved left 5. Okay, if I count from 0, 0 and I count over to where that is, it was a vertical translation, left 5. And then it was at 0, 0, but now it moved down. It went down 3 units. So a translation, vertical translation, down 3. All right. Now, without graphing, I should be able to look at this equation and see that. If you look at the equation, all of these parts, this reflection, this negative here, does the reflection. Okay. This plus 5, and it's grouped inside the absolute value bars. So if it's grouped with X, and the x-axis is what goes left and right, that's what shifts you left and right, except you do the opposite of what it says, only when it's grouped inside with X. So this said plus 5, so we're actually going to go where X goes negative 5, okay? So that's why we went left 5. And then this minus 3 on the end just moves us down 3, okay? So for number 9, I'm going to go back to my graphing calculator. I'm going to go y equals. I'm going to clear the 2 that are there. There's a clear button on your calculator right there. Clear those. And I'm going to put the parent functions in again. Now this is a line. It doesn't have the absolute value bars. It isn't squared. There is an X. It's not just equals a constant. So I'm going to say y1 is going to equal X. And again, I'm going to push that X button, and it just puts an X there for me. So there's the parent function. And then for my second equation, my y2, it equals this, the negative 0.25x plus 4. Remember, don't type in the h of x. That is just saying this is a function. Remember, we replaced that with y. So I'm going to type in, do not forget, you have to use that negative in front of the 0.25. Do not use subtraction. Negative 0.25x plus 4. So your equations should look like that. And I just push graph, and then I watch it graph. All right. And I look from the parent function. Again, the parent function is the blue one. Goes through 0, 0 with a slope of 1. Well, what happens here? Well, instead of having a positive slope, I now drop from left to right. So I have a negative slope. So I'm going to say it reflected. Okay. And remember, that's this negative right there is our reflection. Okay. The 0.25 is in that slope position. So that is our stretch or shrink. And in this case, 0.25, you can't see my point there. It is a shrink because it is less than 1, and it got closer to the x-axis. If you look at the graph, it flattens out. Okay, if it's stretching higher to the sky, remember that's a stretch, and this one's flattening out, getting lower. If you call the x-axis the ground, okay, it is a shrink. So this is a vertical shrink with a factor of 0.25. All right, I know I've got arrows going everywhere, I'm sorry. And then this plus 4 on the end just means my y-intercept, instead of being at 0, it went up to 4. So this is a vertical translation up 4. Okay, so you're going to do problems like this in your practice. So you can go to your practice and do problems 28, 29, 34, and 36.